come to UI UX design initiation, I wonder what really came to our mind when we saw this. But the purpose is to get more people into the design world, more like initiating more people into the design world, right? I am Ifunanya Nzewi. I happen to be the host of this webinar. I'm a product designer as well. I've been designing for a period of 5 years. Started up as a graphic designer and brand identity designer and product designer. Moving forward, the organizers of this event is She Thinks and Design. Most of us maybe our first time of hearing this or hearing what She Thinks and Design is. So I'll just give a brief summary of who we are, what we do, and where you can find us. So She Thinks and Design is an initiative that is aimed at mentoring both aspiring and beginner designers to scale through the path of career successfully from being a novice, a beginner to professional. So how do we achieve this? Through our community. So we have a WhatsApp community and through boot camps, monthly webinars like this where we call other guests to come and come and teach us one or two things regarding their expertise and experience as well. So you can find us on social media, Twitter and Instagram and on WhatsApp. I'm just going to share the link in the comment section so that you could follow through. So today, moving forward to what we have, I've already introduced myself. I'm also the convener of She Thinks and Design, right? We have Angel, who is a product designer in Figma and convener of the Healing Tribe. So you can check her out or check the community out on YouTube and also Slack channel. So we'll be giving more information on this as we go along and during the questions and answer. But right now we're going to jump immediately to what we have. So if you are excited, I want you to give your favorite emoji in the comment section so that Angel will know that we are here for her. We are ready to receive all that she has for us. So on the comment section, just fire emoji, whatever, showing your excitement. Come, wow. So I'll leave the floor over to you, Angel. Thank you. I don't know how to thank you, but let's just jump into this. I'll stop sharing my screen so that you can take over.
All right. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Yeah, hi. I can see all the emojis and the comments, and thank you all. I really appreciate your excitement. I had a long day, to be very honest. I haven't gotten a lot of sleep, so I probably am quite tired, but I had already told Ifunanya that I was going to do this and I wasn't going to change my mind. So, in fact, I legit ran into my room around 7:45 to set up just so that this happens. So, I'm probably going to make this quicker than I should have because, like I said, I need some rest, a lot of rest. I probably won't get it, but like, sometimes these things happen. So, I think before we get started, I think I would want to know, I would need 3 people here to tell me what they think about UX and UI. So let's make this quick. 3 people, just unmute your mic. If somebody else is talking, then you mute your mic right back. But 3 people, tell me what you think or what you know about either UX and UI or UX and UI. I hope you guys can hear me because I don't think I have energy to shout.
Yes, yeah. I can.
Okay, cool. Thank you, IB. So 3 people. Let's go.
Okay, so UX is user experience, UI is user interface, and you could also call them product design. Actually, that's the combination of both UI and UX design. So user interface is just simply what we see on the screen and all that, and the user experience, it's actually how we make those things work. getting personas, doing our research work on just making sure that that application or the user interface is how will I call it, user friendly to the expected audience or something. I think that's just, don't mind me, but I think that's what I understand about that.
Hey, you're close now. Well, you're not even close. You're accurate in most of the only thing that needs is just your definition of product design. You're right. It's a combination of UX and UI, but with a little touch of more business sense. So at this point, you're not just doing the UX and the UI part of things. You're expected to know a little more about strategy, how what you're trying to build fits into the company's overall goals. So you move from just thinking about the users to thinking about the users and the impact of what you're doing on the business as well. So you're thinking about the business and you're also thinking about the users. That's just the difference between a product designer and a UX UI designer. So is there any other person that wants to help us before we push? Come on now, you guys should be like IB. Talk to me. Is it shyness?
They are shy. They are shy. They are
You
shy.
guys should say something now. Say anyhow. Say something. What you
Hello.
That's how we learn. Even if you don't know or you hear say something. So we can keep moving and then
You can speak Igbo, we understand, or speak Pidgin.
Yeah, speak Yoruba, speak outside. Don't worry, we'll figure it out. People don't want to talk. Okay.
Sorry, hi.
Yeah.
Good
Yes.
evening. Yes.
Hi, Angel.
Okay.
Hello.
Sorry, Stephen, you have to hold on. Goodness is talking.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Since you are accepting any sort of answers,
Yes,
um,
please.
okay. Let me see what I've always thought. So I've always thought UI UX design is done on applications. I've always said it was done on applications, trying to think of how to, just like Adi said, user experience, user interface, trying to know, perhaps for the user interface, trying to know where exactly to put certain elements to make it easily comfortable for a person just going through the app to be able to locate certain things and to be able to easily use those things, just make it user friendly and stuff. I always thought it was just for applications, but I don't really understand the product design part of it. But that's what I understand about it.
Okay. Cool. Stephen, oh yeah. Stephen.
Okay. Yeah, can you hear me? Evening.
Yes, I. Good evening.
All right. So, my own understanding is UI UX basically, as the first guy said, user experience, user interface design. Okay. As a product designer, basically what I understand is trying to put myself in a user's shoe, trying to understand how they feel when using a particular product. Yeah, like am I trying to make their work easy? Am I trying to make their navigation easier? Am I trying to make my product relatable to something they actually know or something close to what they know? So product design, I don't know, is like a parent in both UI and UX. But in my own understanding, I just believe in user experience because that is like, I don't know, basically the main aim, trying to get our user to understand our product and use it in a way that, I don't know, best simplifies their need. Am I making any sense? I don't
You
know if
are.
I'm making any sense.
You are.
Okay. Yeah, so basically UI UX is just putting yourself in a user's shoe. Like, yeah, that is basically it for me. Sorry.
Okay, good evening.
Goodness, I said 3 people. Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry.
But thanks for trying. Don't worry, there were other questions you
Okay.
probably answer. So, goodness, you're not wrong. You are right. The only thing is that product design is not specific, or UX and UI is actually not specific to digital products. That is like apps and websites. Is in fact the product design as a discipline evolved from the product design of physical tangible products, that is, say, chairs, keyboard, mouse. Like Nelson Norman, he designed Apple's first mouse. Please mind yourself. God bless you. Thank you, Peter. So Nelson Norman, for instance, designed the first Apple mouse. I can't remember exactly what, but I mean, this was back in the ages, in the 90s. It's not even a recent product. And for those who don't know, Nelson Norman is more or less the father of UX, UI, and product design as a discipline. Well, mostly UX. Is more or less the father of UX, design thinking, all those principles. So, Peter, please help us. Thank you. So, Stephen, you too, you're not wrong. In fact, from the answers I've gotten, I feel like I'm in the right place. You guys have some understanding of what UX and UI is, and that's a very good thing. That's a starting point. But for the benefit, I'm not going to assume that everybody here knows what UX and UI is. I know that some people do, some others don't. So for the benefit of those that do not, I'm going to explain. I'll explain UX. So from what Ifunanya told me, the point is to give everybody a general understanding of design, how it works, what's involved, how you could learn, more or less like a roadmap. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to explain UX, explain UI, explain product design, their similarities, their differences, so that as you're choosing, as you're making your choice to be either a UX designer or a UI designer or a product designer, you know what exactly you're getting in for. So let's start with UX. Now, let's start with UI. UI, as far as UI goes, I feel like it's a super easy definition, right? It's a very easy definition. Obviously, when you look at something, when you see something, what you're looking at, whether it's an online product or a physical product, what you're seeing is the interface of it. As you're looking at your phone right now, as you're looking at your system, whatever you're using to log into this meeting right now, what you're seeing is the interface. In fact, even if you want to go as far as bringing it into human anatomy, what you're seeing now, my video is on, what you're seeing now is my interface. This is what you're seeing. What you can touch, what you're hearing, what you can speak to, what hears you is basically your interface. So let's now get down to digital products. With apps and websites, when you talk about the interface, the user interface, what you're simply talking about is those parts of the products that you have that the user can directly let me not use the word interface, can directly interact with. Now, interaction with an interface differs. It could be through voice. That is when you have things like Siri. Hey Siri. Let my Siri not on Sha. Hey, thank God. So it could be through voice, like you're giving a command to your phone or your system. It could be through typing. It could be through just making selections. It could be through anything. But that part of it that you interact with as a user, that part of it that you interact with, that is your user interface. Obviously, we know that for a product to exist, there are so many different levels to it. There's your back end, there's your front end, there's APIs, God knows where, there's hosting services or cloud services. There's a ton of different things that comes together to make a product into what is usable, what people can use. But the part of it that a user, that anybody, me and you, the part of Google that we saw this, Google Meet that we saw that we were able to interact with to enter this meeting, the part of it we're looking at is the interface. So when you now talk about user interface design, what you're saying is simply, I want to be able to create that part of a product that a user will interact with. That is basically what user interface is. User interface design is all about. Being able to design the part of the product that the user will interact with. That's the screen, that search bar, that button, that text field, that God knows what. Sorry, my brain is touching. I need sleep. Yes. So that part of the product that the user will interface with, when you design it, that is your UI design, user interface design. If that is the only thing you do, if all you know how to do is to design interfaces that users will interact with, you are called a UI designer. Now, to be very honest, currently I interface more with, I belong to more global design communities, and honestly I interface more with more global designers than I do with Nigerian or African designers. Probably not the best thing, but I learned from people like that. My mentor is, well, doesn't matter. So I interface more with them. And if I'm going to be honest, based on my interactions with them, one of the things I'm beginning to learn is that UI designers is becoming quite rare. The reason why it's becoming quite rare is that, you know what, let me talk about UX and product design, and I'll be able to talk about UI designer, being a UI designer, being a UX designer, and being a product designer. Now with UX, what you're still dealing with is what the user will interface with. But you're dealing with it in a very different kind of way. You're trying to solve a problem, right? With UX design, in fact, the easiest definition of UX design is you want to take somebody from point A to point B with the least amount of problems. So UX design, one, you want to identify the problem. Somebody says, I cannot find water. How do you help that person find water with the least amounts of problems? For you to do this, obviously, you have to really understand who you're dealing with. That's why you do your user research. That's why you do your user personas, and then you eventually end up doing the UI design. But with UX, all you're concerned about is making that interface that that person is going to be using as smooth, as easy, as intuitive as possible. It's not enough for it to look good. It's not enough. To be very honest, nobody cares. Even though I am a designer, I've been designing for years. Even the kind product, I work with Bitfinex. The kind product I design, because sometimes I have to move money across from Bitfinex to Binance. The products that I design, I can count how many times I went to open it, to look at it, just to see how nice it is. When I'm not directly opening it, that maybe I have a task to do and I want to look at, okay, what is existing? How do we make this better? On the average, when I'm just trying to move my money around, all I'm trying to do is to move my money around. I don't give a hoot. And that's just the truth. No user cares about the interface. No matter how much designers and front-end developers would want to convince you that when they come, they see a product, they go like, oh my God, can you imagine? Look at that. Oh, wow, that's a very nice interface. Is a lie. When you're actually trying to, when a product is actually trying to solve your problem, when like in my case, I'm just using the product to move money, I do not care. What matters to me at that point is I was able to move that money from Bitfinex to Binance as quickly and as easily as possible. Once your product has that, in fact, this, what I've just explained to you, is the heart of user experience. All you're trying to do is, how does my user interact with my interface with the least amount of problems and as quickly as possible? That's basically what a UX designer does. Now, if you're the kind, if your job is simply to think about experience, think about how to make things better, think about how to make the interface better, how to make the process better, that is, so for example, moving money from Bitfinex to Binance typically involves, God knows, I would have to do this, do that, do that, do that, do that. So if all you have to do is think about this process, how to make things easier for your user, how to make it fast for your user, how to make it very intuitive such that they don't have to do customer support, they don't feel frustrated, they don't spend a lot of time doing something that they should do in very little time, and they don't have to need outside help to do something, then you are a UX designer. Sure gets. Now, product designer. A product designer is thinking about the UI, is thinking about the UX, and is thinking about the business. Obviously, if you only think about your users. There's a lot of things you may do or not do which may not benefit your business on the long run. I mean, think about it. If people were only thinking about their business, about users, a lot of the services that we pay for, we will not pay for them. The reason why we are paying, the reason why probably sometimes even some of your favorite features do not exist yet is that somebody is thinking, is that a product designer is thinking, well, sometimes not a product designer, but let me not confuse people yet. Is that a product designer is thinking, how do we turn out this feature? How do we make this interface super easy to use? How do we design it and it's nice without the effects of what we are doing telling on the business, without the business losing money, without the business losing anything? So you're combining, at the point of it being a product designer, you're combining UI, UX, and business needs. So that is why a product designer is more likely to stay in a lot of stakeholder meetings, because you need to be there. You need to hear the decisions that business people are trying to make, the decision the CEO is trying to make, the CTO is trying to make, everybody's trying to make, and you need to be able to put in your own considerations, suggestions, understand it, and still try to remind them that this one is good, but it doesn't benefit our users. So if we can benefit the users without affecting the business, then let's do it. If you now get to a point where the business is going to be affected, but it will benefit the users, you now start to look at other ways of doing the same thing. Now that I've explained all three, I'm now going to talk about the career themselves. So one can choose to be a UI designer. There's nothing wrong with that. Like I said, most of my interactions with designers is more global than it is Nigerian or African. And one thing I can say for sure is that UI designers are actually going extinct, to be very honest. The reason is that UI design requires certain skill sets that is not easy to learn. UI design is one of those things that, how do I put it, talent, raw talent, is kind of important. It doesn't mean that if you don't spend your time training for it, of course, the person that trains would always win. It doesn't mean that if you don't spend your time training for it, you will not grow and get better at it. But UI design is one of those things that if you have the talent, you just have a knack for colors, you can draw, you just, you have that whole aesthetic eye. Once you look at, you go know how you go take arrange them, you go fine, go your hair. UI design would need those kind of people. Now, with user experience, it can be learned. You do not require any kind of talent, because basically what you're dealing with is human beings, honestly. There are companies that have UX designers, and all they do is they do all that research, they do all that, oh my God, how do we make the product better? They have all that headache. Why the UI designer, when the UX guy is done, you just come and tell the UI designer, see, this is what I've come up with. This is how I think we should improve the product. This is what I got from the last research session that we did, and this is what we need to do. So he simply just gives it to the UI designer, and the UI designer does it. But UX design is something that anybody can learn. All you just really need to do is learn user research, or user qualitative research, quantitative research, contextual inquiries, A/B testing, user testing, a lot of these UX processes and methods. Just learn them, design thinking, all those things, and you'll be fine. So what's going on right now is that a lot of people are more UI and UX. Some people are more UX. So UI, at least, probably not in this part of the world, but on the other part of the world, is slowly going extinct. So you can choose to be a UI designer, you can choose to be a UI and a UX designer, and you can choose to be a product designer. Now, product designer is not something that you can necessarily, honestly, just choose. It's something that happens out of growth. The longer you stay practicing UI and UX, the more you grow, the better you become. And before you know what's happening, you just transition into a product design role. A product design role is one of those things that growth has to happen to you. Lots of experience, lots of growth, you become a product designer. It doesn't mean that if you wake up now, I mean, these days everybody calls themselves product designers. Like, you see somebody that just has never started learning anything about UI and UX and they're already answering product designer. I mean, who am I to tell you? But ideally, growth has to happen. Now, as far as the terms UI, UX, and product design goes, truthfully, they have become interchangeable, interusable. Some people use UI when they mean UI UX. Some people use UX when they mean UI. Some people use product design when they mean UX UI design, right? It has become interchangeable, and what you'll be required to do in companies largely differs depending on the company you're dealing with. A company can say, we want a UX designer or a UI UX designer. And you like, in between, for instance, I am a product designer. I don't do any research, right? There are people that do the research. I also don't do stakeholder meetings and all that stuff. Well, that's also because I have a team lead, so that's his problem, and I couldn't be bothered. So I don't do any of those strategy sessions and stuff. I really don't. I legit just do my own work here and there with other teams like mobile teams, KYC team, different teams depending on what's being needed. So what you would need to do. So right now the truth is there are no dividing lines. That's the honest truth. There are no dividing lines right now. Different companies mean different things when they say product designer or UX UI designer or UI designer. Sometimes you hear UI design or UX UI designer, they tell you, yeah, they want you to have graphics design skills. They want you to be designing graphics design, promotional materials for their company. Yeah. It has become very, very blurry. So my advice is don't bother so much about the title as much as you would bother about your learning and your growth. That is what is important. When you understand the basics of these things, it becomes easy to apply those skills anytime, anywhere, irrespective of the company and irrespective of what they are going to be asking you to do. On that note, I'm now going to progress to learning UX, UI, product design, and how to go about it. So, Umuchineke. Currently, as far as UI design goes, I would always advise that anybody who wants to do UI design should just go to Figma's YouTube. First, because Figma is the most popular tool for UI designers, for UX UI designers, it's the most popular tool for design. Two, it just has some very mad features. So if you go there and you use their software, hey, I need sleep. If you go there and you use their platform to learn, well, software, whatever, and use their platform to learn, is the best way to go, because on the long run, most job descriptions right now will say, especially remote ones, I don't know what Nigerians are doing. Like I said, I really do not interact much with Nigerian African designers. I don't know what they are doing. But if you're talking about remote opportunities, most of them require that you know how to use Figma. It's the most popular tool right now for UX and UI. So if you want to learn how to use Figma as well as, and at the same time learn UI design, the easiest thing to do is go to Figma's YouTube. Go and sleep there. You wake up, you are there. You're walking, you are there. You are sleeping, yes, Figma, yes, Stella, Figma. You're seeing, you are there. Any time of the day, just go there. Carry your brain and put it inside Figma. I can almost assure you it will pay off. You would have no regrets. Aside that, you can always just go on YouTube and just search for things like principles of design. Look for, I do not follow a lot of UI YouTube channels. I've not really needed to. I typically just go on YouTube and search for specific things I need to learn aside Figma YouTube. So I really don't know if there's a lot of UI channels on YouTube. I really don't know. I'm sure if you search, you'll find something that you like. Now, as far as learning UX goes, I'll always advocate Interaction Design Foundation. The reason why I advocate Interaction Design Foundation is that, now this is not that I am getting paid to do this, right? Concern me if you guys register or not. I stand to gain nothing. But the reason why I would always advocate Interaction Design Foundation is that they are super basic. One, you pay a yearly subscription. When you pay once, is about $120 or less. When you pay once, they have more than 50 courses for different, whether you're a beginner UX UI designer, you're an intermediate UX UI designer, or you're an advanced UX UI designer. They have so many courses. And then their courses are super basic. So even if you didn't know anything about UX UI design before, when you come there, you will definitely learn a lot because they will break it down for you. The only disadvantage, if in quotes, is that most of their courses are not videos. You have to do a lot of reading. So if you're like me and you're not a huge fan of, you don't read a lot, I'm sorry, it probably will take you 2 years to finish a course like that's finished in 2 months. But their courses are super basic, and then they break. So part of what they also do is they trace back like design and everything back to the early days. You start to understand why things are even done the way they are being done now, where some of these design patterns are coming from, what the origination of the story is. Like, it gives you a very, very beautiful I said Interaction Design Foundation. Do ID search for, I think it's, I don't know, that's interactiondesignfoundation.org or idf.org, one of the two. I'm not sure anymore. But just search, go on Google Interaction Design Foundation and you'll be fine. Now, their tutorials are just, so they go way back. They will take you way back. So you start to understand the whys and what of what you're doing. It's not just knowing about user personas. It's not just knowing about journey maps, user research. It was even with them that I found that there were so many other user research methods aside qualitative and quantitative. That's when I even started hearing about things like contextual inquiry, A/B testing. Things like it all. I've even forgotten a lot of them now. So you can try with, in fact, I'd always advise do Interaction Design Foundation. Then when you're done, you can still take Google UX course. The reason why I would advise anybody to take Google UX course is that Google UX course is super recent, and they designed that course with new, how do I put this? New trends and how things. So some Interaction Design Foundation will not teach you anything about inclusive design. They won't. I don't think this. I don't know if they've updated it now, but at the time I was checking it out, there's nothing on inclusive. But you will see that in Google UX course. There's a lot of new things that have come up over the years, from trying to include everybody, trying to make design more accessible. Yes, accessibility design, that was the word I was looking for. These are not things you'll find on Interaction Design Foundation. So if you want the basics, Interaction Design Foundation. If you want a UX course that is recent, modern, that fits into the world today, what is going on today in today's world, the requirements that you would probably be getting when you're applying for jobs, then you have Google UX certificates. If you now do not have money, but you really want to learn UX, there is AJ and Smart on YouTube. There is NNG on YouTube. NNG is Nelson Norman's YouTube channel, where he discusses all things on UX, all those processes, and most of these processes he came up with them in the first place. So I'm sure that is the best person to learn from, right? So all those processes, all those ideologies, all those methodologies, his YouTube channel, NNG, just search NNG on YouTube. He discusses all those stuff. And then the thing about his discussions is that it's not just him, there are different people that discuss them. But aside that, the videos are typically like 10 minutes or less. So if you're the kind of person that easily gets bored, you can't pay attention to something for a very long time, I feel like that's better for you, because you can decide, okay, you watch 10 minutes, you play, you come back, watch another 10 minutes video, you press phone, you come back. NNG, and sorry guys, NNG. So if you're the kind of person that you have attention deficit disorder, his courses, his YouTube channel will probably be best for you, because you can take your time and they are short, so you don't have to, hey, they really do, I'm studying. No, you don't have to do all that stuff, right? So now I have talked about how to get in and what you need to learn. Now, after you have entered, you've learned, and now you're now looking for, you have maybe a project on your hand, or you're trying to get a job. Now, I think I'll talk about trying to get a job first, because that's usually the tricky one for everybody. If you're done learning, if you're here and you're done with all your learning, and you're at the point in your life where you're trying to get a job, or you need experience to get a job, and you can't get a job because you don't have experience, what you can very simply do is create fictitious projects. It's allowed. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. If you're applying to a job and you tell your recruiter that this is not a real project, though as much as possible, if it is not asked, do not answer. Don't give information that nobody asked you. If they didn't ask you if the project is real or not, please do not answer. But it's totally allowed. Create a project. Maybe something you're passionate about, something, Chidebere, I'll get back to your question later. So now, if there's something you're passionate about, something you think that nobody has done, or you just for the heck of it, for the heck of getting experience, the only thing I'll tell you is, if you're going to create a fictitious project, make it a point of duty to make sure that your process, how you got to your solution, is the ideal way that you should go about it. Where you're going to have a problem is if you didn't use the right processes, and it's so obvious that you probably just you threw one thing, and tell everybody that I've done my design. No. If you're going to create a fictitious project, please pay attention and make sure that it is equal to the standard of something you would have done, assuming somebody was employing you to do that. If you're able to create something and write a very thank you. If you're able to do that and write a very good case study for it, you'll be fine. When you talk to a recruiter and you explain, even if you talk to a designer, if designers interviewing and you explain that you've not, because what matters at the point of trying to get a job is the thinking process. Especially if you're applying as a UX, UI designer or a product designer, what matters is the thinking process, how you solve problems. How do you go through, because in UX and product design, you can't just wake up and, yes, NNG, Nelson Norman Group, yes, Rosalind. You can't just wake up and come up with your solution. What a recruiter will want to see, what a designer, like the designer that is interviewing you, is going to want to see is, how did you get to where you got to? That is something that is super important. And that's what I've noticed that a lot of newbie designers don't. So you're done learning tutorials and everything, and you just go on dribble. You pack design. And then your designs are mad, but you're not getting jobs because you're like, I mean, what did I do wrong? I'm better than a lot of people. And you see a lot of company products, and it's like their work, and you're like, oh my God, I'm better than these people. Your problem is probably you don't have a case study anywhere. And even if you do have a case study somewhere, you did not show process. You did not show process. You did not show that you sat down to think about every single thing that you put on your screen. You didn't show that you sat down to even think about the solution in the first place and how it's going to impact other people's lives. And that was why you maybe you went about it the way you went about it. Because, I mean, if I say I need water, there are a million solutions to my problem. Somebody can bring water dispenser. Another person will bring sachet water. Like I've been drinking sachet water since. Another person will bring bottled water. Somebody can even bring tanker water. Right? All these things is water. My problem is what? I need water. But the issue is that if you now say the solution to this water problem is sachet water, you will need to be able to explain why that is your solution. That is what makes you stand out. And that's why a case study is very important. Because if you now say things like, I gave her sachet water because from my user research and from my observation of the user, I realized that she prefers sachet water to, I mean sachet water. I know that's what it's called, sachet water. Pure water. Now, if you say, I gave her pure water because she's used to drinking pure water. She's always drinking pure water and it's much more flexible. She can always carry it around without her feeling like it's too big or it's too heavy. Now, that shows that you thought about it. You did not just give me pure water. That was not just your solution. Because you could have chosen to give me the water dispenser. And then you now say, well, that you thought about giving me water dispenser, but you realize that water dispenser will probably you have to plug it to electricity, and that's going to consume electricity, and that would mean me incurring more expenses. That is somebody that is thinking, that's thoughtful, and that makes you attractive to your recruiter. That makes you attractive in any place you're applying for. I'm not saying that once you do all these things, of course, you know, there's life. There will always be that person who is more experienced than you and everything. But these are little things that newbie designers do not think about, and it can be very frustrating because you keep applying to jobs and it's like nothing is happening and you think it's your village people. I'm sorry, I'm here to tell you it is not village people. It's you that is not doing what they're doing, you're supposed to do. It's you that is not doing what you're supposed to. It's not village people that is your problem, right? So if you're trying to reach out and apply for jobs, get a portfolio. It doesn't have to be, I know, like I have my own portfolio that is a whole website, and I did let me share my portfolio. This portfolio is super old, so I'm sure it's not such a LinkedIn profile. Please, can you remind me? Yeah, so look, that's my life. LinkedIn profile. Can you remind me about LinkedIn profile data? Now, he's a developer, so he did all the coding. I designed both our portfolios. He did all the coding, and of course, both services were free of charge. Do you understand? If you cannot afford to have like your own website and everything, that's okay. There's Notion, there's Behance. In fact, my own mentor, Amy Rogers, have had, and she's a very good designer. She's abroad and all. Her portfolio is on Notion. She doesn't even have her own website and all. She doesn't. She actually doesn't. So you can put your portfolio on Notion, put your portfolio on Behance. It's okay. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Just make sure that the case studies. Hey, I know that's another thing. Please don't go and throw your whole family's case study inside there. Don't and bring generational case study. You don't have to have 15 case studies. You really don't need to have 15. You don't have to have 20. You don't have to have 10. You don't have to have 15. You just need to have one. In fact, 3 will be okay. I know I have a lot on mine, and that was basically because at the time I was very desperate to get a job, so I had enough time on my hands. But you can have 3 as long as those 3 case studies are really, really good. You'll be fine. Just put your 3 case studies, whether they are real life projects or they are fictitious projects. Just put them. Just put your case studies either on Notion or on Behance, and you'll be fine. Just make sure that it's very, 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 very good. That's all that matters. Now, as far as Dribble goes, I know a lot of us designers, even me, every once in a while, not every once in a while, a lot of the times you can find me on Dribble looking for inspiration. So you're designing, you don't have inspiration for something, and you check Dribble. That's okay. The only thing I'm going to say is be careful not to just follow trends. That is why it's very good that you're a UX designer. You think that there is skeuomorphic design does not mean you should do it. That there are trends here and there does not mean you should do it. What matters is your user. Put your user at the forefront. If you're putting your user at the forefront, then what you should be thinking about when you see a trend is this trend going to work for my users? Sorry, Behance. So what you should be thinking about is this trend good? Will it work for my users? If it's going to work for your users, then you can use it. But don't allow Dribble to deceive you, because a lot of the designs on Dribble are not even, developers cannot even code those things. Like, users cannot use it. It's just straight up designer bragging rights. You need to see my Dribble guy, or I have followers, I have likes. Basically, that's what it is. And honestly, it's not going to be very attractive to recruiters and actual designers that are looking for design talent. It's not going to be attractive if your designs are just fine, but there's nothing spectacular about it. On that note, I'm going to say this. If you plan on being just a UI designer, I take God beg you. Again, I repeat, I take God beg you. In fact, wherever you are now, say after me, I take God beg me. Try to understand some UX principles. Even if it is the very basics, you don't have to go extensively as to understanding user research. Well, design thinking, that's a very basic concept or methodology. You should definitely make sure to know about design thinking. But make sure to understand some UX design principles. The reason is that it sets you apart. You're going to create much more meaningful designs than that UI designer that is just a UI designer. Your designs will be more impactful. Your designs, and not to mention that you're going to be more valuable to your company, because when you're thinking right, it means that all the stress is not on the UX designer. And if the both of you are able to work in sync, It's actually a beautiful thing. It makes you very, very valuable to any company you're working with. You shouldn't be what's the word, a dummy. They say I should draw circle here, you draw. They say I should put this thing here, you put. They say I should do this, you put. You don't know why you're putting it. You don't know how it's going to impact the people that are using. You don't care. It's not your problem. What you know is that, my design man, gone. You need to say it, I beg. Please, this is 2022. We need to stop all these things. We just need to stop it. Please. Precious, please ask your question towards the end so I can answer. I mentioned some sites and apps for beginners, but ask it again so I don't miss it. So at this point, I don't know if there's anything else. Okay, so for getting jobs, you can also, rather for getting experience, you can freelance, you can volunteer. Do you understand? Anything that works for you. You can freelance, you can volunteer so that you get jobs. I made questions in the comment section, and I'm going to start with one of the first questions I saw. Chideberry James. So you said, is there any part of coding in UI UX design? Truthfully, it is just unbelievable for a company to ask for a UI UX designer that codes. UI and UX is a lot of work on its own. Adding coding to it is just ridiculous. But if you're going to be only a UI designer, right? If you're choosing UI design, you like UI, and UX, you find it or more all that research, talking to people, you're not about that life, that's fine. Wild advice is that you add coding to your skill set so that it makes you more valuable. Because what this means is that when you work with the UX guy and you do your design, you can immediately translate it into So if you're a UI designer that has front-end coding skills, it's superb. There's actually a ton of job opportunities that will say UI designer that can code, UI designer that can translate their design to front-end, to HTML and CSS. But I will not advise you to go and do UI UX design and still add coding. Please, life is hard enough. Don't stress your life. There's no need. There's absolutely no need. Very few companies will require that you're a front-end developer or any coding skills. But concerning coding and design, recently I discovered that there's this career path that they call creative coding. So what you do is that you're using code. You're not necessarily creating products, but you're using code to create designs. So when I say products, I mean websites, apps, web apps, you name it. Now you're not necessarily using codes to create like interfaces. You're just straight up using codes to create ads, create promotional materials, create ads. I don't know. I don't exactly know how it works. But if you feel you're creative and you want to be able, you like coding too, and you want to merge these together, I'll advise you look at creative coding. Creative coding right now is a very young field. So I feel like if you get into it now, in 2 or 3 years, when it becomes a huge deal, you go to cash out already because you would have had like 4 or 5 years of experience already in creative coding, which means that, sorry, you'd have had like 2, 3 years experience, which means that obviously you're really good and it will make it easy for you to cash out. Creative coding is definitely not yet in Nigeria. I have not seen it in Nigeria. I've not seen it anywhere in Africa. So if you're looking at doing creative coding, then just know that it's remote job all the way for you. But it's also a legit career path. It also pays. And for those of you who like design and coding, I feel like that's the way to go. Yes. So is it, I hope there's no other question I'm missing.
I
Okay.
think the LinkedIn profile question.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think I'm missing somebody else's question. Yeah, I saw somebody asking me something, but I can't remember what it was. But yeah, I'll paste my LinkedIn profile in a bit. Let me just. Yeah. Yes, I just sent my LinkedIn profile.
If we
And so somebody said something about if you're a novice, how do you catch up? Like I mentioned earlier, check out Interaction Design Foundation, check out Google UX course. I feel like I wouldn't advise people to just do that whole self-learning, rather unorganized learning. like you just go on YouTube or go on go on Google and just search for things. It's not advisable. Part of what that thing does is that you have a lot of scattered learning that you cannot piece together. So what happens is if somebody asks you, at what point do I create a user journey map? You don't really know. You may know what user journey maps are, but you don't know why you should even create it. You don't even know at what point in the design process that you should do that. This happened to me. I learned UI design. UI design mostly. I liked UX and I wanted to delve in. I did a lot of reading online. It was just very confusing. I was just trying out things, honestly. But I didn't know why. I didn't know why. I didn't know what comes first, what comes second, why I was, how it fits into the whole process until I took courses on Interaction Design Foundation. And that's why I'm not a huge fan of just running off on your own and just doing research and stuff. I get that money might be a challenge to a lot of people, and that's totally okay. For as long as you can do your research, by all means, do it. What you might want to do is, if you're going to do your learning on your own and you're going to learn only from free resources, what you should consider is finding what's it called? A curriculum. So you can go online, do your research, find curriculums, then follow that curriculum. If you follow the curriculum, it should really help you. You can now go online and look for free resources on each topic in the curriculum. Follow it the exact ways in that curriculum, so that your learning it will make sense and it will be together. But if you just run off and you're just doing research and doing stuff, you probably would really jam your brain, and you'll have you need a lot of concepts that you cannot defend if you're in a job interview, or if you had a project, you don't know when to use what and when not to use what. So Interaction Design Foundation, Google UX course, or
Yeah.
find a curriculum that works for you and then follow the curriculum exactly. Okay, so all I was saying was that I will not advise anybody to just do scattered learning. I'll advise that you either go pay for one of these schools and you learn, or I think Free Code Camp just dropped a product design. I'm not sure, but I think they did, because I think I got it in my. I think Free Code Camp just dropped a free product design UI UX design course on YouTube. So just search either for the website. I just dropped the link to the website, or you go to their YouTube. You look for Free Code Camp. They just dropped a product design course. I remember seeing that. So, but what I was trying to say was that if you can't afford to pay, Free Code Camp is an option, or you find a curriculum somewhere. You can go through all this. Most of these online schools, they put their curriculums online. Then you follow that curriculum as you're learning. So if the topic there is user journey map, you can look for your free resource on user journey map. You read up about it. You come back the next topic. Just follow it like that, so that's what you're learning. Because it's not just about being able to do a user journey map. You should understand why you're doing it, and you should understand at what point in your design process are you doing user journey map. You should understand, why am I doing a design? Why am I using design thinking methodology? How does it work? Why should I design sprints? Right? So these are some of the things that some of these schools will teach you. But like I said, check out Free Code Camp, or just get a curriculum somewhere and go through it. Joel Job says, about the coding part, please, is it necessary? Like I said, Joel, if you just want to be a UI designer, I'd advise add coding to your skill set so that you are more useful. UI design on its own, as much as it's going extinct to a lot of companies, is not very attractive. Like, yeah, what are you going to do? Just come and design. Is that all? There's just a lot of people don't understand design, and so they look at it as, what are you even doing? And you could get very underpaid for it. So our advice is, if you're going to go the way of UI design, please add front-end code into it. I'm not saying that is a must. I'm saying that just to avoid you. Doing graphics design, join. So not only are you designing their products, you're also doing graphics. So you're designing promotional materials for the company. You're design, you're doing motion graphics even, and all of that stuff. But typically, it's either UI design. That basically, UI design doesn't go alone. So it's either UI and graphics, UI and UX, or UI and coding. So if you're going to be relevant in today's job market, I advise either you find UI and coding and gum your body. I know in Nigeria it has been bastardized because you can enter one shop and do your design for 2,000. They even print it to join and give you, and you can go home. Altogether, everything from design to printing probably costs 5K. So if you are come out now, you say, I am a visual designer, it's going to cost you 50K. They'll be asking you, what are you collecting? What are you doing? I think that's been bastardized in this part of the world. But as far as remote jobs are concerned, UI design and graphics design is such a big deal. It's actually, and they pay a lot of money for it. So you can do UI and graphics. So what it means is that for the company like Bitfinex, we have we have three. Yeah. In fact, we're just two product designers. In fact, it's just one product designer because that's me. And then my team lead is a product designer. So, but of course, it's the team. They're big deal and they pay well for it. It's just that, like I said, Nigeria has bastardized it. So it may not be very, very attractive to be a visual designer. That is UI and graphics design. And then sometimes those people, they are required to maybe do small website design. Maybe just something, a promotional, just a small website. Sometimes yeah. So basically, yeah.
So Angel,
Is there any
let me
PDF?
just
What?
before we go like to other questions. So some people just joined and they were not there initially, right? So this is organized by STAD, Shippings and Design. Basically, it's for females, but we have maybe webinars that's something like this that is open for both male and female. So before we continue our question, I'm going to drop like the link to our Twitter and Instagram handle for you to follow for such kind of webinars. As well as Angel, I would want you to drop maybe your Slack or Begin community if you don't mind, so they can join because most of this, apart from the curriculum, most of these webinars and communities help you grow as a designer, right? And if a female designer or you're looking at, I saw someone saying she doesn't know how to go about it. I'm dropping it now, the channel for the females to join. The first one, the WhatsApp channel, you can join it for things like monthly webinar, boot camps, and the rest of them. The Twitter community is there. The Instagram. Can you guys hear me? Am I low?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, so you can like and follow and join. For the females, you can join the WhatsApp group for the START community. And moving forward, you can continue, Angel.
All right. So somebody's asking if I have PDF or soft copy. Typically, I'm not a slides person. In fact, the last time I tried to create a slide, I don't know. For those of you who were at the Web3 event, you would know that I did not follow that thing. I don't know. I'm just not a slides person. But I will drop the link to Begin community, and you guys can you can just send me messages, and I can schedule a meeting with you so we discuss some of these things again.
I'm actually
So, yeah.
recording this, so when I'm recording,
Oh,
yeah, so I'm going to drop it in the YouTube channel for us to also watch it. So,
okay.
yeah.
That's sorry. Let me find the link to Begin so that I can drop it.
All right.
Yeah. Found.
Your Twitter too, Angel.
Hey, do I have link to my Twitter? Let me find
It's
it.
Angel for good. Yeah. I think I have
Please, if you
that.
have it, drop it. I'm not really a Twitter person as an advertising designer. To be very honest, no. The reason is that they are not very similar, and they honestly do not require the same mindset or skill set. So with UI UX design, you're thinking about solving a problem. You're thinking about how to make life easier for your users. With advertising, there's a lot of art involved. It has to look good. It has to be catchy. It has to catch attention. And that's why if you notice, the average ad is usually more creative and more. You can even play around with PUN, do you understand, pawns. You can play around with wordplay and everything. You can't do that in UI UX, and if they slap you out of your job. You can't do that now because you're going to confuse people, right? So there's no overlap, But it doesn't mean that a UI UX designer that has a background in graphics can actually function as an advertising designer. But this is not something that happens. Well, it hasn't happened to me. At least not in the company I work in. Like I said, I know that things work very differently here in Nigeria. I worked for companies here before I got remote job. So I know that in Nigeria, it's very possible that your boss can just meet you there and say, guy, I beg, you can help us run some graphics or stuff. It happens. But ideally, in bigger companies and stuff, it's not something that you'll see. I've never had to design so far, and I've worked in between XP a year. I've never had to design any advertising thing or any promotional material. Okay, I had to once, and the reason was that the graphics designers on the team were on leave. So I was doing it as just picking up the slack for them, just in the meantime, just doing it not like it was my job. I was just for the urgent ones. So the ones that were not urgent waited till they came back. I didn't do everybody's work. The ones that were not urgent waited. It was just the urgent ones that I had to do within that week that they were away. And when they came back, they continued. So it's rare, and of which even then they already had templates. In fact, no, now I think about it, I wasn't designing from scratch. I was just adjusting based on the templates they had already created and they were already using. So they needed to make some changes, and the changes couldn't wait till they got back, and then they reached out to me. This was basically what I was doing. It's not like I did anybody's job or anything. So, yeah. Still, since I lost connection at a point, aside Figma, which other app would be needed? Basically, just Figma. Before, I would have said Figma and Miro, but now that Figma has a white, what's it called? Whiteboard. Now that Figma has Pigjam, where you can do whiteboard sessions. Should we? It's something that is called, I can't remember now. Whiteboard sessions, which is basically what Miro used to allow you to be able to. That is brainstorm. Or Miro, you can do all your brainstorming sessions and everything. But Figma has that now, so you don't need Miro anymore. Figma is fine. You can do your
Angel,
entire
I can
UI.
remember when you used to be a
UX,
fan of XD, right?
Ha 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 ha. That was an age ago, a very, very long age ago. Oh my God.
Okay.
That was a generation. In fact, then my grandparents were still alive. It was a long time ago. So yeah, Figma is fine. Figma is basically because it's the most popular tool for designers right now. So learning Figma is just enough. Steven says, great job yesterday, and the chicken said he was going to pay 20K. Why don't they value UX UI? How do we attract better pay as a UI UX designer? So Steven, the truth of the matter is that UI UX design is not as tangible as coding. Do you understand? And because it is not as tangible as coding, it is really undervalued. And this is not even a problem that is unique to Africa or Nigeria. We also experience that in the other part of the world. The only difference is that more conversations are being had around design, and then these really big companies, that is Facebook, Google, Netflix, all of them are making a lot of noise about design and its importance. So the smaller companies are learning. And they're also seeing the impact that these companies have made over time. So they don't born you when, you know, with Facebook, you can't do gra, you know, one hire designer. Oh, yeah, no, now try it. Let us see how it will go for you. Because these companies spend a lot of millions every year doing a lot of research, trying to really tailor their products to really win their customers' heart. And now you, one upcoming person in one small country, you say you want to do what. But unfortunately, in Nigeria and Africa, not Africa, I cannot speak for Africa. In Nigeria, I find that a lot of people don't understand design and stuff. As far as, I don't know, educating them, you could try, but I tried that, and to be very honest, it's a lot of stress. So over time, I just learned to mind my business. I don't bother. When you meet people actually who want to learn, you educate them. But for the most part, most people don't want to learn. People don't understand it, and they don't care to understand it. Now, but for him to offer you 20K, your skill set also matters, and your experience also matters. So if you're going to attract better, higher paying jobs, I didn't get here in a day. I didn't get here in a day. I've been doing this is my 4th year. And before I started doing this, I did graphic design for 4 years again, if not 5, right? So your experience, your actual experience matters a lot. And even in the whole 4 years, I got very lucky because when I worked in Tennessee, there wasn't a lot of design hires. There was not a lot. So I got to handle a lot of projects alone by myself. So what it meant was I was doing all the interfacing from stakeholders. Ifunanya, you remember Dynamo now. I was doing a lot of I was doing a lot of interfacing with stakeholders, um, project managers, developers, QA testers, stuff, people that were even older than me. So it also gave me a lot of experience and in not just design, but also in the business aspect of it, like what a company is thinking, what comes to their mind, what is important to them, as well as also communication, how to navigate, how to communicate with people, how to talk to people, how to, do you understand? It gave me a lot of experience in all of these things. So sometimes you may be young, right, in design and also very young in your experience. You can also be young in terms of years of experience, but your actual experience, what you spent those years doing is a lot. What I did for that 1 year plus is typically what a product design lead should do. But I had to do it because there wasn't a lot of us. In fact, as at the time that they were hiring people like Ifunanya, I had been there for a few months and I had worked on a couple of projects by myself. So these things matter. The amount of experience you have. I mean, years of experience, that's amount, quantity, and then quality of experience. Did you spend those 4 years, those 3 years, those 2 years just, I don't know, working on very small projects that are not scalable? Even the type of projects you work on matters because the kind of company you're applying for, if they are looking for somebody to work in something like Google, they go want to know where you've been, they work before, what kind of projects you've worked on because experience is key, both in terms of quality and in terms of quantity. So my advice is, if you're still starting out, please don't do that whole money thing. Let's be guided. One thing I see that is very happening a lot that is very common is you see newbie designers saying, they're paying my mates 500K, they're paying my mates 1 million K. Why can't you pay me that? Please calm down. Don't allow your village people to use you. Those of us who are probably earning that much, we all started small. I've earned 20K for design. I've earned 50. I've earned 120 with a bag. I've earned even less than that. I've done free designs for people, right? So what you should, and in all that time, what mattered to me was gaining the experience. And now that I gained it in, because what happens at the end of the day, I had experience in a lot of different industries. And of course, it makes me more marketable, more attractive to a company you recruiter than a designer that maybe you have 3 years experience, but you've only worked on 2 or 3 projects altogether because you're selecting and you're doing, if they're not paying me well, I'm not doing. If they're not doing this, I'm not doing. You can't afford to do that if you're still starting. At the start, you're going to have to get your feet wet. And for you to do that, you're going to need to have to take on any type of job, no matter what it's paying. There's a point you get to, obviously. Even the person who won't tell you 20K, the person will think twice. Yesterday, somebody called me. He said he needed a designer, but he was like, he's my friend. And he's like, but I know I can't pay. And I'm like, I'm glad you know. There was a time that he offered me 50K to do work. And I was grateful to collect that money. But I've grown. And he knows. He actually said, I know I can't pay. I'm like, yeah, you actually can't. What I just did was I had to find somebody I knew to help him out to the design. So it's growth. I didn't get here at the start. I didn't get here my first year. I didn't get here my second year. I didn't even get here. Okay, I got here around 2nd year plus. And that was, like I said, I had worked on a ton of very different projects in very different industries at very different paying amounts. Some 20, some 50, some 100. So of course, if a recruiter is asking you what have you done and you're listing, you have projects under your belt, you have different kinds of experiences, you're definitely more attractive than the person that has been in design for 4 years and has only worked on 2 types of projects because you're doing 20K, I know do. Growth happens everywhere. It's the same way that if you're a lecturer, you start with graduate assistant, they are paying you God knows what. You progress, you become actual lecturer, they pay you, they increase your salary. You get your master's, they increase your salary. You become maybe HOD, get your PhD. You become, growth happen. You can't wake up, you were just doing this a little while, you don't even have, not doing a lot of things and you are looking for somebody that is paying you 150K, 200,000. Yes, I know this, I know tech pays, but please get experience. See, don't, if you get that experience, I'm not joking, I can assure you, you will not regret it. You will become, I've turned down job offers severally. Like, I legit sit down in my house and the job offer comes, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't do. Sometimes it's somebody I know. It can even be a client I worked for at some point in my career. And the person is coming, and the person is like, please, I need you, I know you have. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't, I don't have the time. I've had people tell me how much, what is it going to cost? And I'm like, I'm sorry, I already have a job, and honestly, I'm quite busy these days. I'm trying not to overswamp myself. So make it that experience is going what's going to, as I'm sitting down here now, I'm saying all these things I'm saying, and I don't know if you feel like, oh my God, you're making a lot of sense. It makes sense to me. The reason why it's making sense to you is that these years of experience I'm speaking from, I'm not just talking. I'm not just talking. The reason why it's insightful is that they say these years of experience, knowledge is key. Design is a very practical thing. I don't know if people are not able here, but I'm going to put it this way. It's not by reading. Design is extremely practical, both the UI part of it and the UX part of it. And the only way you're going to get that is through experience. So please, if you're just starting out, any job you see, take it. Just do it first. No problem. Be building. A time will come when those same people will come to you and you tell them no. And they said they go no say before they even came, they will know that guy. They tell you, say, I know fit, but I beg, and I'm based on saying that I know. And you will say no, and there's nothing anybody can do about it. But you can't just be starting and maybe you're comparing yourself with some of the senior designers, you're senior, this person is doing well, this person, God, when. We grew, we did not fall down like this. We all grew. And this is one of the problems I have with tech now, because I feel like a lot of techies talk about the arrival and nobody talks about the experience. Nobody talks about how long it took them to get here. Nobody talks about all the things they had to go through. Nobody talks about that. People just come and say, hey, I'm a techer. You see, I'm using this. See, we all grew. I remember working for one very, very popular company in Enugu. And I was making, 60K plus. I remember a time when it looked like all my designer friends were all doing well and everything, and I was, because some of them were paying 100, were earning 100, 150, 200, and I was like, damn, God, when? But growth happens. When growth happens, when you actually grow, the quality of clients you attract will also grow, and the amount of money they'll be willing to offer you will also grow. There's no two ways about it. You can't bring a child and give him Pampers. Doesn't make sense. You can't bring a child and give him Cerelac. No. Sorry, a grown-up. You can't bring a grown-up and give him Pampers. As I am now, you're looking forward to give me Pampers. No, now. Or you want to give me food, you give me Cerelac. I'll ask you if you're all right. But you will give me food. Why? I have grown. You give me proper clothes. Why? I have grown. Please do not take growth for granted. Do not take gaining. I'm so happy this guy asked this question, because I see this happen a lot. People come to me, I'm so frustrated. I've been doing this. I'm like, okay, how long have you been doing? They tell me 3 months. I'm like, hey, God. 3 months and you're waiting, they frustrate you. Yeah, my mates are making money. Who is your mate? To be very honest, who is the person you're calling your mate? Because I'm sure if it is me and people like me, you are not even serious. We did this for years. Literally. Under the worst possible conditions. And that is how we got here. I've done free. I've begged for work. I've begged, like, please, if you have any project, I beg. And you know those people, don't worry. I have in mind when I come up with something, I will holler at you. And they never do. I have a lot of them like that. I remember there was a time in my life when everybody, my WhatsApp, I sent everybody chats one by one to tell them, I'm a designer, this is what I'm doing, please, if you have job, please send to me. I did all those things. At the end of the day, nothing come out. Even if they finally succeed in reaching out to you, they reach out to you like they are doing you a favor. But those same people cannot do that now. Why? I grew. Do not take growth for granted. Don't be in a hurry to jump out and make a ton of. That's one of this is part of the reason why a lot of the times when people come to me and say they want to learn design, I'm usually very skeptical, because I don't want to deal with somebody who is in a hurry. I did not get here in a day. I did not, and I'm still growing. I don't want to deal with somebody that is coming. You came here yesterday and today you want everything to work out, and that's one of the biggest problems we have in this generation. Everybody's in a hurry. Where you're rushing to, I don't know. And this is why people are frustrated. You started doing it yesterday and you want to be like your mate that has been doing it for 4, 5, 80 years. It can never be the same. So please, do not take your growth. You see, don't play with it. Don't allow money to cheat you of valuable experience that will make you a very beautiful designer in years to come. Don't allow money to, I know you have needs, but don't allow money to cheat you, please. Don't rush. You're not running to anywhere. When you get the experience you're looking for, jobs will look for you. People will look for you. You will be the one that will be picking and choosing the one you want to do. But if you do not get that experience, you can stay in design very well 5, 8, 10 years. And somebody is still telling you 20K, 50K, 100K.
I did tell you.
Experience is key. Experience. Please, if you did not hear anything I said today, if there's nothing I said today that makes any sense to you, like all these things I've been talking since, see the passion I'm using to talk this one, so you people are seeing it. If all the things I said today did not make sense to you, let your takeaway be, I need to get experience, and I will not allow money to be a reason or comparison with mates. Yes, in quotes, because those people you compare yourself to are not even your mates. Mates to cheat me out of getting valuable experience. Please, oh, God bless you as you listen to this piece of advice. So on to the next question. The apps for sites and apps for beginners. So Interaction Design Foundation, Google UX, and then check out Free Code Camp. I know I dropped the link sometime earlier. Free Code Camp on YouTube. They have a free product designer course currently. Any other question? So Peter, about having an academy. Well, I have Begin Tribe, and I've been trying to do some form of training, but to be very honest, the reception hasn't been very interesting. So I'm like, okay, well, maybe people are not as interested in this as I thought they were. So I've been quite indifferent about it lately. But if you join Begin Tribe and you're active, you really want to learn, just buzz me and then we'll figure something out. Rosaline, I'm actually creative coding is coding visuals, yes? Yeah, kinda. It's coding visuals, kinda, but there's a way it works. So I'll advise that you do a lot of reading on it. Just Google creative coding and you see a ton of articles on creative coding. So Getchi said, my questions are, is it a must to intern as an entry UI UX designer before landing your first job? I'm sure that this preaching I just preached for the last God knows how long answers that question. You need experience. Sometimes you may get lucky and you have a company that is willing to take a chance on you. Sometimes you can get lucky. But the likelihood that you get, in fact, honestly right now, especially when it comes to remote jobs, most of them are looking for senior designers because like I said, experience is everything. Experience is the difference between a designer that is being paid 100K and the one that is earning 1M. Nobody say it gets one specialty where the other. Experience is key. So currently right now, especially as far as remote jobs go, they are looking for senior designers. A lot of them are looking for senior designers. So make it a point of duty to get experience however you can, whether it's through fictitious stuff or internship or low paying jobs. Get as much experience as you can. It would always help you to land a job. How long did it take you to land your first job, and was it remote a 9 to 5? Well, I interned in Genesis as a product designer and I was quite good because well, I already had a background in graphics and so it made it very easy for me to transition. So after I went to internship and I came back, I got hired, right? So that was how, like, see, I intended there and then I got hired. So that's how I got it. And it wasn't a remote job. It was a 9 to 5, a regular 9 to 5. I was going to the office every morning. Oh God, wake up early by 5, 6. You're running kitty, running kitty, running to the office. But we thank God for his infinite mercies that did not want me to kill myself with lack of eating. I'm now working from home. So yeah. So visual design is all about what and what. So with visual design, you're just designing the UI, user interfaces, or you're doing or and I don't know if this makes sense. With visual design, you're either just doing interface design, that's of products, or you're doing it alongside graphics. So that's you're creating promotional materials, which could be videos or just pictures, whatever. You're just doing all that stuff. So basically, that's what visual design is. Please be audible. Can't hear you very well, Ifunanya. Sorry, Mao. I don't know you cannot hear me. Twitter link. Please, on Twitter, I am Angel of Good. Angel _of_ good. I'm Angel of Good. What else? Thanks, Angel, for this. Oh, thank you. I'm blessed, Edin. I really appreciate. Thanks for my question. Figma offline or cloud based, which is preferable? I'm not sure if I get your question, but if you're asking whether you should be designing in Figma cloud-based or offline, I would always say cloud-based, Omaka. Before you spend 2 hours designing something, next thing you know, it have gone. I beg you. Though what you can do is you can turn off your data design the moment because I know that data in Nigeria can be expensive. The moment you're done and you feel like you want to, you can turn on your data and then everything uploads automatically to Figma. Please, if I didn't answer your question, all bright and Nzewi, please, you can re-ask the question. I don't know if I understood it, but from what I understood, that's what I'm answering you. Oh, precious, Chukwebo, thank you. Thank you.
So everyone that is Angel, you've been spitting fire. Like you've been spitting fire. Like I could relate to everything you've said. So please let's transfer all of this Thanksgiving on Twitter, right? So you can tag Angel for good, you can of good. You can tag me, I'm Ifunanya and Nzewi. You can tag STAD designer hashtag. Please extend your Thanksgiving to our Twitter so other people can see what she's doing as well. Right, Angel can.
Sorry, can I just answer a few questions? One more question. So,
I know you.
how much? Somebody asked.
I knew you were going to.
Chinas are like, no.
This question of
I
okay,
want
I
to
was, go on, carry on.
Yeah, thank you. So Chinaza, how much you can earn depends on the company that is hiring you. Now, when I say the company that is hiring you, some companies understand design and they bring out money for design. If you're being hired by an engineering-led company, that is where developers are like gold and designers are like trash. They probably will not pay you well, even if they're making a lot of money. But if you're being hired by a company where design is such a huge deal and they really value designers, then they'll probably pay you well. Now, also, it also matters the stage that the company is in. If the company is like just starting, obviously they cannot pay you well enough. Hopefully, as they grow, they should be able to pay you well. Is there another factor in company? Okay, I think that's just the basic two. Then your own experience, right? What you're bringing to the table. Because if your company is hiring you, they're hiring because of what you're going to be bringing to the table. What benefits they are going to benefit from you as an employee. So your experience matters. Then the country that the company is in and they're hiring you from also matters. Of course, you cannot compare a Nigerian company trying to hire you and a foreign company trying to hire you. It's definitely not the same thing. So these factors, the company, your experience, the country they're in. These are basically the things that determine what they'll pay you, right? You can always do your research online to find out average salary rates for different countries. I think Indeed has a very comprehensive salary rates where they listed based on the country, either Indeed or Glassdoor. One of these sites, one of these job sites have it. It's very comprehensive. For every country, they listed the average salary rates. So just go online, look for average salary rates as a UIUX designer. You can now add the country, and then you're good to go. Oh, Henry, thank you, Henry. Okay, so Angel of Good, please. Angel of Good for those that are confused. All right, so I think here ends my preaching this night. Thank you guys, and I really saw your kind words, and I really appreciate it. But I'm going to shut up now before Ifunanya will say she did not come and take over her program.
No.
Thank
you, yeah, irrespective of how tired you are, you still took our time. Like I'm so happy. Okay, I'm gonna just say how I don't know if you remember how I met you, but it's me that did the meeting that know how I met you. Yes. So yeah, it's one of these online. I met you online. I think that was 2017. And we were in the same one graphic design group like that. And someone asked a question on the group, and you replied. I said, who will this be the answer with ginger? Do you get? And you were a female, and then I was looking out for like okay, for females that do this stuff, and I privately chatted you up, and I asked you, what's the difference between Photoshop. I don't expect you to remember. Then you're still a graphic designer, right? And then you just sent a voice note to me, giving it bad books. I say, okay, that was high. Yeah, that was high. And then I joined Genesis. I've heard about Genesis, and then I saw it on your wall, and then I joined. So you've been a wonderful inspiration to me. And so I'm happy everyone is learning from you. So please, like I said, just extend this Thanksgiving on Twitter. Contact me. I'm at Ifunanya Nzewi, her Angel of Good, hashtag start designer, hashtag start UI UX product designer. So the world will know you're learning. I don't know. Okay, I have a question. So I would like you to answer. It just came up right now. So how do you I know you are not the social media type, right? Okay. So we go to a lot of conferences and they tell us, okay, put out your work out there, this, that, tell people. I feel it's good too, but like how are you able to manage not being a social media type? I know you hated Twitter. I don't know if you still like it. So like is there a way you can marry like putting your work out there, because the truth is that there are lots of opportunities on Twitter right now, lots of them on social media, right? So how do you? I don't know. I would also really like to know your search for job journey. I've heard a lot. But I want to hear from the horses. Yeah, from the horse's
Okay.
mouth. So all of these things. Yeah.
Okay. So first about how I put myself out there, to be very honest, I think I'm the worst at it, honestly. If I posted this flyer by to 7. In fact, I didn't post it myself. I was driving and I had to give my phone to my friend. I was like, please, I forgot to post this thing this morning and I should have. I should have even posted, but I kept doing I'll post. I just so when it comes to putting myself out there, I do not think I am the best at it. I honestly think in fact my brother, because my brother is into digital marketing, he has talked tire. He has told me severally, he's like, if you put yourself out there more, you will do better. I'm like, yeah, sure, great idea. I love it, but I never do anything about it. What I would say is, I also feel like part of the reason why I'm able to get away with it is that I have already gotten here. Okay. And I'm not going to advise that. I don't think it's advisable, to be very honest. I don't think it's advisable. I have gotten here already. So like now I'm speaking here, and even if I would not have posted about it, I forgot to post about it. People are going to post and tag me, so other people will see me and all of that stuff. I myself may not make the noise, but somehow the world always goes round. And that is also because, like I said, growth has happened. I have gotten here. I've organized a few events that. So what I do is, since I know I'm not so much of a social media person, I try to make sure that when I meet with people that I'm trying to network with or try to network with me or other techies, I try to make that count. So be nice, you're chill, you can, legit chill with person or people and, just make that physical interaction count. If you're not also a social media person, I also advise go out more. So when there are tech events, let them not find you in your house cooking in indomie and egg. You ate indomie and egg yesterday. Please now, leave that indomie and egg. Go to that tech event. So go and meet people. Go there, sit down, see what your mates are doing. It helps. It actually helps. I also know that I'm a Christian, so a lot of my journey is also right down to God and God's favor. I pray for myself and my career. So I know that a lot of what a lot of people see now is God answering my prayers. If not, I don't smile. I wasn't a Christian when you met me
Hallelujah.
after. I've converted. I've converted. No, they smile. They look me with bad eye. I've converted. I've changed. So, a lot of what you see is also God's favor. God's. I cannot even remove that from the equation. To be very honest, I can't. I can't say that it's all my strength or I'm so good and that's not true. A lot of it is also God. Now, as far as my job finding journey goes, that's an interesting one. It's probably going to be a long story, but I'll try as much as possible to make it short. So, um, I left Genesis in 2020 in the middle of what's it called? COVID. In fact, I left my kind ex. You know this ex I told you about my hair. We left together. Okay, we're not together. I left and he left like 2 weeks after I left. A month after I left. No. I think he left first. And I left 2 weeks or a month after. Don't worry, it was not a love-driven decision. We just both felt we both needed to leave for different reasons. So after I left, I didn't find a job till December. I hit an all-time low. I applied, Jesus Christ. I applied with my life. So at the time, I was using Angel Lists, Startup Jobs, Himalayas, yes, a few others, but I can remember Angel Lists, Startup Jobs, and Himalayas. I applied a lot. In December, I got my first remote job, and then by February, I got Bitfinex and 2 other jobs, honestly. Well, so this is why I say God. In December, or in November, November, I applied to some jobs. In December 2021, no, in December 2020, I had 4 interviews. Out of 4 interviews I had in December 2020, I got 3 between December and February. Out of 4 interviews, I got 3. Even me, I was shocked. I didn't see that coming. So I got the first one. The other 2, the processes took a while. So I ended up getting the other 2. So at some point, I was working 3 jobs at the beginning of 2020. By middle of 2020, sorry, at the beginning of 2021, rather. At some point in the beginning of 2021, I was working 3 jobs. By middle of 2021, I had left 1. By ending of 2021, around September, I left 1. And I faced Bitfinex. I got another one in October 2021. I worked for a month. I didn't like the environment, so I also left that one. So I said that I cannot be stressing my life. It's not as if the money Bitfinex is giving me is not enough. It's just love of stress that is my problem. So I said that was that. I wash my hands off application. I said I'm not doing it again. I hang my boots so that other people can come and get job. It can't be only me. But as far as my job applying process goes, so like I said, I have an actual portfolio, and after I created a portfolio, I started noticing that I was getting at least to the interview stage, which is very important. Like I said, recruiters want to see what you've done. They want to see your thinking process and how it works. As far as platforms for applying for job goes, I use Angel List. In fact, right now is the main one I use. And the reason why I like Angel List is that on Angel List, you get to write a message directly to the recruiter. Most of the times, you can even see the name of the recruiter. So if you want to look for them on LinkedIn and reach out to them privately, you can do that. Like if you want to reach out to them about the job later, you can do that. 2, you are almost always going to get a response on Angel List. Almost always. At least, say, know how. They go tell you waiting this up. Also, one of the things about Angel List is that their job boards are usually very, very, very informative. So they'll tell you where the country is, where the company is, where they're hiring from, even rating of the company. They'll also tell you how much those guys are going to be willing to pay you. And no, I'm from Imo. The person that pressure trickable, please. I deny Anambra people. I'm from Imo. God bless you. Thank you. So Angel List is, I'm just sending the we did not come the link. Angel.co. That is the link. Sorry. Angel.co. I've sent it twice. I don't know why it's not turning into a link. But angel.co, that's the website. So I use angel.co. It's called Angel List. They list out jobs and you get all the information about the job. So it saves a lot of stress. Plus you can even talk with your recruiter directly. Plus most of the time and all the jobs I have gotten, remote jobs I've gotten, was from Angel List. All of them.
Yes, you did. A lot of questions have been coming up. And we're going to end here. So maybe you'll grace us some other time. Maybe how interviewers ask questions, what they require, and all of that. But at this point, I think we've spent a lot of time. Thank you. I really maybe we'll send food tray for you to eat. Angel loves food. Yeah. For you to eat, and thank you. So just like I said, appreciate him. I'm seeing some tweets. please keep it going. Tag Angel of Good. I'm Ifunanya and Nzewi. Hashtag STAD, hashtag STAD designers, UI UX design, product design, and let's keep it rolling. All right, we draw the curtain here. Should I give a no? Let's just end it here.
Sorry, can I say thank you at least to
Okay,
everybody?
yeah.
Yeah. So I just want to say thank you to all of you. I've seen your comments and your kind words. And to be very honest, it's very, very encouraging because when I first sat down here and started talking, I was exhausted. My head still aches and I need a lot of sleep, but I'm here. So thank you. It's comments like this and it's people like you that makes doing this worth it. And I really want to appreciate every single one of you. Thank you. My Jesus shall loves you people. Don't forget, it's very important. But thank you so much for your audience. Ifunanya, thank you also for organizing this and for inviting me. I've had a great time. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for accepting. All right, now we'll see you later. Bye. You can say bye and go. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.